Namaste everyone. Welcome you all to MMK The Eagle View. It's been quite a time we haven't published any videos. We had time constraints at the back end. So we are back with a bang. This is a very special episode, a very interesting postcard on India-Russia relations. I'm not going to give a monologue on this. So we have got three panel experts from Russia. And we have one panel expert from India. I'd like to introduce all of them to you today. So from Russia, we have Nikita Tikhonov, international relations students from MGIMO University, a very reputed university in Russia. He has been the chairman of MGIMO History Society. He has actively taken part in Eastern Economic Forum, Youth 20 Forum in India, has presented various research papers on international relations specific to the eastern part of the world. He had attended many international conferences, one in Kuala Lumpur, one in Tashkent. A very active research student, a future policy maker. And the second speaker is Vladimir Karpus, again an international relationship student from MGIMO University. He has majored in South Asia. He had done research and an expert in Hindi and Urdu political system in India. He has extensively studied India in a prism of an expert from the Eastern world. He's also very active, participated in various forums, international forums, and he writes a lot of research publications in history, economics, and also in science journals. An international relationship student specializing in science journals. It's quite a rare phenomena. Our third speaker is Maria Tatsi from Russia. She is a management student from Faculty of Management and Political Sciences. She is learning French and Hindi, and international relation experts in India-Russia relationship. She also has attended a youth forum in China, active participant in Eastern Economic Forum, Russian African Forum. So we from India, we have Mahesh Aditya, a very bright youngster who is an international relations graduate, specialized in domestic and geopolitics both. He actively pursues diplomacy, trade analysis, foreign affairs, internal affairs, national security, knows 7 languages, and has been actively working in policy making in various MNCs. So these 4 bright young speakers, 3 from Russia and 1 from India, will lead this podcast. Please don't even miss a minute. The amount of knowledge and amount of effort which these 4 youngsters have put in to enlighten us in terms of how exactly the India-Russia relationship works, how the INST corridor going to shape up in future, because we have always seen the Western media setting the narrative. It's very rare to hear voices, expert voices from the Russian side. Here we have 4 experts who have dedicated their research time for us, all of us. So please do like, subscribe and share this video, because only when we respond, when we encourage these youngsters, they're going to enlighten with us with more knowledge on geopolitics, especially on Indian-Russian relationship. Thank you all. Jai Hind. Over to you, Aditya.
So welcome all of you guys. Very happy. First of all, before going to the questions, I would like to begin with asking, what do you know about Tamil Nadu? Have you heard of something called a language called Tamil, or do you know that such a culture exists in India? Because when we say, I'll just give you a context, because when we say India, all the Russians know is about just Mumbai and Delhi, and they don't know anything. They don't know any cities beyond this, and they don't know any languages beyond Hindi and Urdu. So when I say Tamil, when we say Tamil or Tamil Nadu or the southern part, Южная India, что вы думаете? Скажите, пожалуйста.
Well, I know that Tamil Nadu is a southernmost state of India. Well, when people in Russia talk about Tamil Nadu, well, we usually talk about Kudamkulan nuclear power plant. I believe you've mentioned it, as far as I understand your Tamil.
You're right. Perfect.
Well, I know that Tamil Nadu is quite populated state. Its economy is growing very fast. Some biggest seaports of India are located in this particular state. I know that there are a lot of IT specialists in this state, and when we talk about Indian economy, we always mention Karnataka and Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu as one of the most developed territories in entire India.
That's impressive.
So,
Well, I also, oh,
mhm.
okay, I also know some information about the culture of Tamil region. For example, about the literature, because I'm studying the Indian culture only for the first year, but even in our student book, there was a paragraph about Tamil literature, and one of your famous poet, Agatya, am I right? If I'm right,
Yes.
yeah, and also I've seen a statue made after the Agatha, and I think it is a really big part of the Indian and Tamil culture. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I would add that I've been to India 3 times. I've been to northern India, Delhi, Agra, Lucknow, Varanasi, and Ladakh. However, I have met some people from Tamil Nadu there, and they told me a lot about how ancient Tamil culture is. Actually, I believe Tamil language is one of the oldest, or maybe the oldest. Some experts say it's the oldest language, the oldest written language in the world. So definitely, we are very honored, as I have said already, to be invited to this podcast, and we'll be glad to share our opinions with people of Tamil Nadu, who represent, yes, one of the most ancient culture in the world. So it's great to be here.
Very impressive, very impressive. Вот так здесь тоже, потому что люди не знают много в России. Только знают об Москва и Санкт-Петербург. Все, вот и все. So even here, a lot of people just think about Moscow and St. Petersburg. So it's good to know that you guys actually are aware. And without further ado, let's go to the questions first. So I have a couple of questions related to this maritime project. So beginning with the first one, how do you describe the Russia-India relations in a single sentence? Like, what do you think is the exact factor that prompted India and Russia's closer ties, looking from the historical trajectory?
Well, to describe Russia-India relations in one sentence, it's very important to say that Russia and India are committed to a special privileged strategic cooperation that helps strengthen ties in all areas of development. I guess this is the best sentence to describe Russia-India relations. Yeah, and Russia-India relations have been historically close due to several factors. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union was a key strategic partner for non-aligned India, providing significant economic and military assistance. Yeah, and also geopolitical considerations such as multipolar world order or opposition to Western countries have also contributed to their close ties. Finally, a very important part is cultural and historical ties, because including people-to-people exchanges and further cultural context according to literature to historical culture is a very important factor to develop Russia-India relations.
Great. Then actually, see, if you see, as I said in the beginning, I was just explaining to the viewers about the Mumbai to St. Petersburg shipping route. So I was just explaining it to our viewers in Tamil. So what do you think, like, how is this particular project, Chennai to Vladivostok, effective compared to the existing Mumbai to St. Petersburg project that we have?
Well, yeah, it's from one side a great question, from the next side is controversial question because the effectiveness of Vladivostok-Chennai corridor, in addition to the outgoing Mumbai to St. Petersburg shipping route, will depend on several factors too. Here are some potential advantages. For example, the Vladivostok-Chennai corridor could potentially reduce transportation time between India and Russia Far East region, making it more attractive option for business, for traveling, for cultural exchanges, and so on. Also, the new corridor could provide an alternative way to the existing Mumbai to St. Petersburg road, which could help reduce dependence on a single route and increase resilience in case of disruptions. Also, the new corridor could provide access to new markets in Russia Far East region, which could help increase trade and investment between the two countries. And overall, the Vladivostok-Chennai corridor can be the potential way to provide an alternative and more efficient trade routine between India and Russian Far East.
Great. Actually, if you see, the reason why we are talking about Vladivostok in specific is that we know that Vladivostok is a city that is in the Far East, Russia's Far East. So, what is the specialty of Vladivostok? Like, what is so special, and what is the geographical and the geopolitical significance of that? Could you explain more on that, please?
Yes, so that's a great question. I think to answer it, we first have to talk a bit more about Russian history. So since the 15th century, Russian explorers tried to cross the first Ural Mountains, which are geographical border of Europe, and move eastern-wise towards Siberia. And some experts in Russia say that basically the way our country has developed throughout the last 5 centuries is towards the sun, because we are moving eastwards across Ural Mountains, across Siberia, and Vladivostok, from this point of view, is kind of final step of this movement, because Vladivostok is located on the ocean, so we have reached the border of our travel towards east, towards Pacific Ocean, and therefore Vladivostok, the foundation of Vladivostok, the development of Vladivostok is a vital page in Russian history, and it plays a great role. It has played a great role throughout Russian history, and plays even more major role nowadays. We can talk more about the meaning of the word Vladivostok. Basically, translated from Russian into English, it would mean the Lord of the East, or the ruler of the East. Владеть Востоком, to rule the East, and that's how we understand the role of the city. It's the city that basically establishes Russian power in the Far Eastern region, and we pay a lot of attention towards Vladivostok. For example, Vladivostok itself holds annually Eastern Economic Forum, where a lot of experts from Asian and Asian Pacific region are gathered. India, ASEAN countries, some experts even from across Pacific Ocean, from Latin America. I was privileged to visit this forum with Maria last year, actually, and we also had there a session with one of the Indian businessmen who works here in Russia for 20 years. So it was a great experience, and the importance of this forum, of the summit, it's only rising in the last few years. So we can see how many investments are being diverted to Vladivostok from center. And also I would highlight that besides Vladivostok, there are some other cities of presidential attention, as we call them. For example, Большой Камень, the translation would be funny, Big Rock in English. And this city near Vladivostok is claimed as the city of the presidential attention. So our president, Mr. Putin, visits also annually. So to sum up, I would like to highlight that Vladivostok is truly an important city in Russian history. It's not some kind of outskirt, as it could seem, because if you look at the map, Moscow and Vladivostok are separated by thousands of kilometers and an 8-hour flight, which is not really comfortable to have. For example, between Moscow and Delhi, it's only 6 hours flight, and our time difference is 2.5 hours, and our time difference with Vladivostok is 8 hours. So it's easier for us to come to India, to Delhi, than to travel to Vladivostok. But still, Vladivostok marks Russian history as a history of transcontinental power, which one like set in Europe and another set in Asia. And it's very important to maintain this balance. It was always very important to maintain this balance. And there were some problems, obviously, in different parts of Russian history where western part of Russia was overdeveloped and eastern part was underdeveloped, or otherwise, when there was some European wars, then the eastern part would be developing more rapidly. But nowadays, I think we are able to maintain this balance between these two sources of Russian geopolitical power. And having said this, I think it's obvious now why Vladivostok is so important for Russian politics, Russian geopolitics, and Russian history.
Nice. It's really baffling because like from Belgrade, which is in the Ukraine border, like you have all the way to Vladivostok, which is the far east.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
so it's so huge to imagine, and from here to there it's taking 8-hour flight, whereas if you want to just cross from one country to another, say as you said from Moscow and Delhi, as you said, it's just 6 hours, and it's 8 hours from Moscow to Vladivostok. Really baffling. So the next thing that I wanted to ask was actually how would you actually view India's interests in Far East? So India, actually, if you see, we have close relations with Russia, and as you said, like St. Petersburg is one of the major cities, and all of that being said, how do you see India's place in the Far East, and how do you see India's role and interests in the Far East in specific?
Well, as Nikita has already mentioned, Vladivostok has a unique geopolitical position, and I believe it's necessary to give a little bit broader context why this entire sea route is essential for both Russia and India. Last year, the concept of foreign policy of Russian Federation was released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it stated in this document that Russia is a transcontinental country, which is located at the same time in Europe and in Asia. And the historical role of Russia is to connect both Europe and Asia. Right now, our government is working on rebuilding, boosting the Northern Sea transport route, which goes from Murmansk to Vladivostok. Right now, Russia has the biggest icebreakers fleet in the world. We are the only country in the world which has nuclear icebreakers. So right now, cargo flow in the Arctic Sea has grown up to 40 million tons, and it will continue to grow in the near future. So this year we are talking about the opportunity of connecting Vladivostok and Chennai. But if we look a little bit wider, we will see that the northern sea trade route can connect northern and western Europe. It can connect northernmost regions of Russia with southern India. Well, it may seem a little bit strange, but probably in several years, the shortest, the cheapest, and the safest sea route from Chennai to Rotterdam, for example, will lie eastwards through Pacific Ocean and then through the Arctic Ocean. As now, most of trade between India and for example, European countries goes through Suez Channel, and you all, of course, know of problems which are emerging right now because of the Somali pirates, because of the situation in Yemen. This sea route is quite expensive. It's quite long. Actually, it's around 7,000 miles. No, it's 11,000 miles, but the northern sea route is around 7,000 miles. So for India, it's a great opportunity to trade with Russia, with European regions of Russia, and in near future, it's possible that this sea route will open a great opportunity for Indian factories, for Indian investors to trade with those really far regions. And if we talk about Far East specifically, this region is very attractive for investors, as Indian businessmen are one of the biggest contributors to the Russian economy. It is just a great opportunity for them to gain money, and it's a great opportunity for Russia to develop its infrastructure in this resource-rich region. As resources of the Arctic, of the far east regions of Russia are also very important for India, as India right now has become one of the biggest importers of Russian crude oil, of Russian natural gas. Well, right now, bilateral trade between India and Russia is around $60 billion, and it will continue to grow. And of course, with the help of this sea route, India will have a great opportunity to trade with Russia, to trade with other country, and gain money on this very perspective project.
Great. Since you mentioned about Murmansk and Arctic, I have to say this because a couple of months back, I think your Russian delegation, Mr. Bobrakov, he's the deputy minister for Far East and Arctic. He visited our city. He visited Chennai just few months back. I think it was in Jan. Yeah, this year's Jan he visited. It was held here in Chennai because it was organized along with the Chennai port in order to discuss with these developments, especially with the Far East. So since you said about Murmansk and Arctic, I think what you said is pretty much relevant with what the ministries is doing simultaneously as well.
Yeah, Indian investors are already participating in different projects in Russian Arctic. Well, first of all, they invest in the infrastructure of this region, and also Indian companies are interested in natural gas and oil. Well, Russia has the world's biggest natural gas resources, and most of these resources are located in the Arctic region. So right now we are investing a huge amount of money in the production of liquefied natural gas. And most of this gas is produced in the Arctic region. So now Indian companies will have a great opportunity to buy this gas directly from factories in the Arctic Ocean, and probably in a few years we will have a stable sea route from Murmansk to Chennai, or maybe some other place in India, and it will be very effective sea route.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Then, um, talking about these things, since we are talking about Vladivostok and other cooperation, what Russia has to offer in special to India? Like, what special does Russia has to offer to India? Like in that case, I might be playing a devil's advocate, but this is sort of like a question which was actually I was thinking for a very long time. So I just want to ask you, like, what special does Russia has to offer India when it comes to Vladivostok?
Uh, well, as I've already mentioned, India and Russia are becoming major trading partners. Well,
Mhm.
uh, in the times of Soviet Union, up to 25% of Indian foreign trade was with Russia, and back then in 20th century, this sea route also operated. So now we are not building something new. We are just trying to reopen this old sea route between Vladivostok and Chennai. Uh, of course, Russia is selling a huge amount of raw materials, like first of all, oil, natural gas, seed oil, some
Mhm.
diamonds, and
Diamonds.
yeah.
Oh.
Russia, as well as South Africa, is one of the biggest producers of diamonds in the world,
Mhm.
and India is very famous for its diamond factories. Well,
Yes.
mostly in the state of Gujarat, and
Yes.
Russia is selling raw diamonds to India. Indian specialists work with these diamonds and then re-export them to some other countries, mostly in the West. And of course, Russia traditionally sells different military technologies, military equipment to India. Uh, I know that many Russian companies has even opened some uh, some production of their equipment in India. For example, Kalashnikov company, for example, Brahmos, which is a, a joint
Yeah.
venture between Russian and Indian defense companies, and right now it's the most probably one of the most sophisticated and efficient anti-ship missile in the world, and it's produced in India with the help of Russian specialists. And when we talk about Vladivostok specifically, well. There are a huge amount of different raw resources there in the Far East, and
Mhm.
some of these resources are sold to India. Well, right now we have to move our goods through Suez Channel. Some of them are moved through Iran, this north-south trading route, which still um, not operating quite efficiently. Uh, but when this sea route between Vladivostok and Chennai starts operating, well, Indian companies and Indian government will have an opportunity to get these goods just in around 20 days or even less, and of course they will be much cheaper for India, and companies both in Russia and India will have more interest in the development of mutual trade and cooperation.
Awesome. Like you've explained pretty much everything, starting from the defense, starting from the natural resources. Like diamonds was, we Indians, we haven't heard that diamonds from, obviously we have polishing factories and we actually export diamonds as well. And as you said, Gujarat is one of our is our hub actually. but we didn't think that diamonds from Vladivostok will actually enter into Gujarat in specific. And this is because all we think of Russia is only natural resources such as oil and coal, but diamonds, which you said, is a striking fact. And obviously the Kalashnikov that we have in the, I think in Uttar Pradesh, I think they're thinking of opening Kalashnikov factories as well. So you pretty much summed up most of the things.
I may also add that besides
You were about to, yeah, yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
besides some industrial cooperation, there is also cultural and educational cooperation between Russia and
Yes,
India
definitely.
being developed. So there are many Indian students in our universities, and we have been with my colleagues to many cities this year, many Russian cities this year, starting from St. Petersburg, which is quite famous also in India, to less famous cities, to Novosibirsk, which is just in the middle of Siberia, to Krasnoyarsk, which is kind of Western Siberia. So all those cities, there are universities, there are major Russian universities or regional universities, and in each of those cities, we have met some people from India who are studying there in a very different fields, starting from medicine, ending with political science. And I think in this sphere, the cooperation is also developing. And culturally wise, since the 19th century, I think there has been a lot of interest to Indian and Russian culture, and we have many famous painters and composers who made their works of pieces of art based on some Indian motifs and so on and so forth. For example, Rerich, rather a famous example. Maybe Maria would like to add on this topic a bit more. She's a specialist in art as well. And this year there have been some exhibitions opened in major museums in Moscow and St. Petersburg about Rerich. He actually has been many times to India back in the 19th century when it wasn't so easy. It wasn't 6 hours flight as today, but
Yeah, it's a long flight, by the way. Yeah.
Nevertheless, he visited a lot. So maybe Maria would like to add about the cultural
Yeah, yeah, I would like to add about Rerich because it was one of the themes of my article that I studied this year. So Rerich was is one of the famous Russian painters of the 19th century, and the last summer in Tretikov's gallery, it is the main gallery in Moscow, was an exhibition named after the Rerich and his way of paintings in India. So he has done a lot of works to the culture of India, about the nature of India, and there are lots of
What
pink
was his
and
name, by
blue.
the way? Sorry. What was his name?
Nikolai Rerich. Yeah, and he has visited India for like 2 times at least, and he also has his memories in his diary, and this diary is published online. You can read it, as I supposed to know, even in English and in Hindi because it was translated into these languages. And he wrote about it. It has a great culture. As I supposed to know, there are some information about Tamil region also, because I studied about the literature of Tamil from his diaries. So yeah, and in India also works a special international fund named after Nikolai Rerich because India is also really interested in developing cooperation between Russia and India according to their Nikolai Rerich movements in the past. Yeah.
So you're trying to say that the cultural thing, so probably with this project, the culture is gonna keep expanding. That's what you're trying to say, like be it the art, be it the poem, be it the literature, be it the people to people connect through this particular project, like we'll stay more connected. That's what. And by the way, I'm so sorry, like Sounder was also asking question in the yes sir.
No, some basic questions. So I think on the cultural part, some of the parents here, they teach Nicolau Notsov's books, children books. So they are the Duno characters. So there is one of the Soviet author. So his books and the fairy tales he wrote are sort of a common in one of the schools where my kids studied, where they have that as part of their grammar. So and we have, I mean, very good way of portraying. It's very kind and a warm way of teaching children about some of the values. Definitely we have appreciated that. And yeah, that's on the cultural front. So thank you so much for the book. And a couple of basic questions, I think, I'm not an SME on this, but from a general viewer standpoint, right? I think, so just from Moscow, we have this Baltic, the Suez Canal route that comes to that starts with the west of Russia and comes to the west of India. And that's sort of 12,000 kilometers, Aditya, you mentioned. So this route, that is Chennai to Vladivostok, is sort of 10,000 kilometers, roughly. You said 2,000, 3,000 kilometers less. But this is just to the port. From the port, where does the actual businesses and the raw materials that that actually comes to the port? I mean, does this reduces the distance, or is it going to be that you have to bring the coal from St. Petersburg to Vladivostok, and then from there? So can you share some insights into, okay, from a trade standpoint, these are the actual source of the materials or the actual items that India is going to import or India is going to export and you're going to consume. So how does that dynamics work, the logistics and the distance between the actual place of the materials to the port, and then how do you think that dynamics work? And I'm open to.
Well, Russia has a very developed railway system. We have a Trans-Siberian railway. It's the longest railway in the world, which crosses the entire Siberia, the entire northern Asia, and it goes directly to Vladivostok. Besides railway system, we have different channels, and we have great Siberian rivers, which flows into the Arctic Ocean. And as I've already mentioned, we're using Northern Sea trade route mostly for our domestic trades, but in the near future, this trade route will open for foreign companies, and so most of these raw materials are excavated in the Far East, in the Siberia, mostly in northern Siberia, and Russia has a very well developed energy system and a very well developed transport system, and it's both railway, it's roads for different trucks. But when we speak about Russian northernmost regions, the Arctic Ocean, the Arctic region, there are roads are not really effective there, and it's impossible to build a railway there. So the only and the cheapest and best way to connect these regions with other ports is to connect them through rivers and seaports. As rivers are really large, they as wide as 3 or even 4 kilometers, and so it's not a problem for nuclear icebreakers to go up the river from the ocean to take some raw materials there and then transport them to Vladivostok or straight to India.
Yes, I would also like to add, if I may, that speaking of raw materials, especially, so obviously there is a lot of industry based in European part of Russia, in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, obviously in these regions. But regarding raw materials, the richest regions of Russia in this regard are located in Siberia, which is closer to Vladivostok actually than to Moscow and St. Petersburg. So it's actually cheaper to move them eastwards than westwards most of the time.
This is the point I would, please.
Moreover, some of industrial factories which are working with raw materials, for example, Kalashnikov concern we have mentioned already, and some others military complex. Some part of them are also based in Siberia because during Soviet times already we tried to build our industrial might not only in European part, which is geographically wise quite vulnerable from possible attack from the west, but also in the eastern part. For example, Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, there are a lot of those factories, industries, which could produce all the goods Vladimir has mentioned already that could be of interest to India. And it's with the development, with the rapid development of Eastern logistics in Russia, Far Eastern logistics in Russia, it would be much cheaper to transport them to Vladivostok than to St. Petersburg, because they're produced in the eastern part of Russia. That's what we want to add.
This actually struck me a lot because our viewers, since we are explaining about Vladivostok, and since I said in the beginning, it's baffling to know that from the eastern part, the country as such is vast. So as you said rightly, from middle of Russia, it's rather than importing it from St. Petersburg and Moscow, which is leading towards the European part, and which is after the Ural Mountains that you have from Yekaterinburg to the Siberia. As you said, from the center region, transporting it to eastern part from centers is actually much more easier. And your statement makes a lot of sense now. This question I wanted to ask in specific because since you're dealing with geopolitics, what is the implication in the Indo-Pacific? Like, if you have to say it very, very briefly, what do you say the implication in the Indo-Pacific region through this route, and as a project, what do you think is the implication? Because Indo-Pacific is now you have Quad, you have other, you have I2U2, like I2U2, though it is different, you have Quad as the base, like Japan, Australia, US, and India. So that is focused on Indo-Pacific. So when it comes to Indo-Pacific and Vladivostok, what is the main implication over there?
I think I might start, and Vladimir maybe could add something. So regarding the Pacific region, we have to pay attention that there are not only United States or Canada or Japan. There are many, many countries in this region, especially ASEAN countries, which is an example of rather successful regional integration organization. And ASEAN formats, for example, ASEAN plus 6, involve successfully Russia and India in the same forum, in the same so-called platform. And the relations with the ASEAN countries and Russia are developing really rapidly in the last few years. For example, yesterday our president, Mr. Putin, has signed a dozen of new agreements with Vietnam. I guess during the Eastern Economic Forum, Prime Minister of Myanmar has visited Vladivostok, and there were also new agreements signed. We launched actually Aeroflot, our Russian avia company, launched flights to Rangoon this September, like last September, but this September.
Yangon.
Yeah. Yes. And so actually, yes, this this region is being very important to Russia the last few years. So it was always important, but the development of relations has really grown. And regarding the ASEAN countries, I think that it's obvious by the map that those countries could be impacted by this route from Chennai to Vladivostok. They could benefit from it, and I think that this route would benefit the whole Indo-Pacific region, since all of these countries are greatly involved in the trade in this region. So that's what I would like to say about ASEAN countries. Maybe Vladimir would like to add something more about other aspects of this.
Well, I agree that a lot of countries will be integrated into this trade route. Well, ASEAN countries, China, maybe some other countries of the region might be interested in this project, and as they can trade at the same time with Russia, they can trade with India, and I believe it's also important to mention that this sea route require a lot of special infrastructure. We have to remember that if we want to transport millions of tons of cargo through this route annually, we will have to build some new port capacities. We will have to build new. We'll have to build more cargo ships, and Russia has quite well-developed shipbuilding capacities, but still nowadays amount of ships is not quite enough. Right now, as far as I know, Russian companies, even Russian government is interested in investing into shipbuilding industry in India. Russia is ready to share some of its technologies in this particular industry. So the start of the operation of this trade route can boost shipbuilding in India and probably in some other countries of this region.
Shipbuilding shipbuilding via Southeast Asia. That's what you're trying to say, is it? Like ASEAN, especially. Okay.
Hey, one question
Yeah.
I can ask. See, this route has been there all along, right? From a viewer standpoint, I'm trying to ask, this route has been there all along, like the Malacca Strait, the Philippine Sea, the Sea of Japan. So it has been there all along. And something made this happen in 2019, or explored the possibilities starting from 2019. So, and was this like historically discussed before, and now only it's becoming fruitful, or is this something that was initiated because of the leadership changes, or what is your view on that? I mean, why not so many years that 2019 suddenly changes?
It's this route is very important from a geopolitical perspective, and especially after 2022, Russia is trying to build new routes to Asia, to India, especially as our bilateral trade is growing. We are investing into building of north-south trade route. We're trying to reopen this sea route from Vladivostok to Chennai in order to promote bilateral trade between Russia and India, and also to make possible for Russian goods, for Russian companies to come to South Asia, Southeast Asia, and as you've mentioned, this sea route is mostly used by some other Asian countries. Malacca Strait. It's mostly used by Chinese companies, but now we are trying to establish a regular sea route, which will work annually on a regular basis, not just some rare ships. For example, Kudamkulan nuclear power plant and nuclear power plant in Bangladesh. They have Russian reactors. These reactors are so big that they can be transported only through only warships, and these nuclear reactors, which were transported to Bangladesh, for example, they were built in European part of Russia, then they were transported through the Arctic Ocean, then they came to the Pacific Ocean, and through Malacca Strait to Bangladesh. But that was quite unique and complicated operation to transport this particular equipment to South Asia. Well, it of course shows that the idea of such cooperation is possible. Well, we showed everyone that we can physically do it, but now our point is to make it on a regular basis, so that all private and government companies from Russia, India, and other countries of the regions will have an opportunity to trade through this route.
So you're trying to say that see, that makes sense. So in the sense, only sea route can actually benefit to make the nuclear, in order, because as you said, nuclear power plant needs a lot of raw materials as well as a lot of cargo ships are involved. So you're trying to say that the route, say to Vladivostok route, since it's cheaper as well as distance wise it's shorter. So you're trying to say that building nuclear power plant would also be easy and quicker and faster when this project is done, because of the intense dependency on cargo ships. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, of course.
Okay. This question, it's actually pretty common, because this terminology has become really, really common right now. That is the global south. Everyone are talking about global south. So with this popularized term, so what do you think of the scope of low and middle income countries? Because hope you know about global south. In order to give context to the viewers, I'll just give a small context to the viewers as well. So global south நீங்க சொன்னீங்கன்னா, அதாவது நம்ம உலக வரைபடத்தை நம்ம எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா, தெற்குல இருந்து ஒரு 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 நேர்கோடு வரும். அந்த நேர்கோடு வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா வடக்குல இருக்கிற நாடுக்கும் தெற்குல இருக்கிற நாடுக்கும் பிரிக்கும். முக்காவாசி மேற்கத்திய நாடுகள் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா மேற்குல இருக்கும். அதெல்லாம் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா தொழில்நுட்பமா இருக்கட்டும், இண்டஸ்ட்ரி ரெவல்யூஷன் சொல்லுவாங்க, அந்த காலகட்டத்தில இருந்து ரொம்ப அட்வான்ஸ்டா ஏற்கனவே முன்னேறி இருக்கிற நாடுகளை வந்து நம்ம டெவலப்டு கண்ட்ரின்னு சொல்லுவோம். ஸோ அந்த டெவலப்டு கண்ட்ரிலாம் அந்த கோடுக்கு மேல இருக்கிறதுனால, அந்த ஒரு கட்டத்துல இருக்கிறதுனால அந்த மேற்கத்திய நாடுகள்லாம் வந்து குளோபல் நார்த்னு சொல்றதும், ஏழை நாடுகள்னு இல்லாம வளரும் நாடுகள், அந்த வளரும் நாடுகளையும் வந்து குளோபல் சவுத்னு சொல்றதும் வந்து இப்ப இருக்கிற டெர்மினாலஜி நிறைய யூஸ் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கு. அண்ட் மோரோவர் ஜியோ பாலிட்டிக்ஸும் நம்ம வந்து படிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கோம். மேஜர் சாருமே வந்து நிறைய வீடியோஸ் சொல்லியிருக்காரு. நானும் என்னோட ஆங்கிலம் சேனல்ல வந்து குளோபல் சவுத் பத்தி சொல்லியிருக்கோம். So tell me about this global south, like what will be the condition of low and middle income countries in the near future because of this particular project?
So I think regarding the term global south, it is really popular nowadays, not only in India, I think, where I have heard this term a lot of times, where I have been there, but also in Russia. We speak a lot of global south, and we try to develop relations with global south countries more and more these years. So as you have mentioned, I have participated in interparliamentary annual conference Russia-Africa. We have a lot of initiatives with Latin America, with India, obviously. So all those countries of global south are primary interests to Russian foreign politics, and we try to establish friendly relations and productive and fruitful cooperation with all of them. Because global south, what is really important, I think, about global south, it's that it truly can be called global, because many global south countries, they share same agenda. They want to somehow establish same policies on international level. They want to enforce their cooperation, not only regional but also extra-regional cooperation. And we can see that such formats as BRICS, for example, These are formats for global South countries from different regions who seek to formulate some shared policies in very different aspects of their foreign affairs. And regarding this route, obviously, the global South countries here would be Southeast Asia, as we have already mentioned, and the countries of South Asia. So all of those countries are an important play an important role in Russian foreign politics nowadays. We established rather friendly relations with each of them. So as we have mentioned, Vladimir, ASEAN countries are playing a huge role in our foreign projects regarding ASEAN +6, for example, regarding new agreements with Vietnam, the flights towards capital of Myanmar. What I actually forgot to mention about ASEAN countries is that I think last month the rector of our university was awarded by the Medal of Honor from Cambodia. So all countries of this region are developing their relations, and these interests are bilateral, so they are from each side. And Vladimir has mentioned we're building a lot of nuclear projects in Bangladesh, in India as well. So I think regarding this route especially, it could only benefit the relations with Global South and relations among the Global South countries, because essentially Russia being obviously a country located in the north, it doesn't pose itself as something that belongs to Global North, because there is just simply no thing as Global North nowadays. We have Global West, which is definitely not a partner of Russia on this stage of history, and we have Global South. And in this dichotomy, Russia obviously is leaning towards Global South. Therefore, this route that would connect Russia with Global South would mean even closer cooperation between the countries which share common perspectives of international development, of some macroeconomic policies regarding trade and so on and so forth. And in a way, the countries that share some kind of this identity, maybe this identity of friendship and partnership on all levels. So that's what I wanted to say regarding this question.
Nice,
Well,
nice.
I also would like to mention that the official position of Russian government is that our world is moving towards multipolarity. So the United States is no longer a global hegemon. New great powers as India, Indonesia, and Russia are rising there, playing more and more significant role in international relations. And of course, it's very essential for such new great powers to cooperate with each other, to trade with each other, and to build an equal and beneficial for to create a system which would be beneficial for every state in the system, not only for the global hegemon and its allies.
Nice, nice, nice. Good to know, because we are on the same page, by the way. So pretty much the things what I was thinking, like, and the perspectives that you brought is amazing, because as you said, we are moving towards a multipolar world, and that makes sense. And as Nikita said, a lot of other things that goes in the ASEAN countries also, and Putin's recent visit to Vietnam also is a testament of that. So yes, and since we are talking about these two regions in Asia, one of the rising regions in Asia right now is the Middle East, or the West Asia. In India, we call it as West Asia. So Middle East, actually, it's a vital role. So in the Russia-India trade, what do you think? What is the role of Middle East? What do you think? What role would Middle East play in Russia-India trade?
Right now India is becoming more and more involved in the economical integration into economical processes in the Middle East. Of course, this region is very important for India, as still most of the raw materials as as oil and natural gas comes from this particular region, and India is cooperating with such countries as the United Arab Emirates, even Saudi Arabia, and some minor Gulf states. It, it's cooperation not only between governments. Companies of these countries invest into India, into Gulf states. A lot of money and technologies comes from this particular region. India right now is building a very very strong military and technological cooperation with Israel, and right now the United States is trying to build some geopolitical construct where they want to unite India and Middle East countries under the US leadership. For example, it's I2U2, it's IMEC, and some other projects. When we talk about Russian role in the Middle East, concerning trade with India and some other countries, it's important to mention that Russia for almost 2 decades is trying to build a new route between St. Petersburg and Mumbai, or north-south trade route, which goes.
So you mean INSTC?
North-south trade route, St. Petersburg Mumbai trade route.
INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor.
Yes.
I think, okay.
It goes through Azerbaijan, through Iran, into the Arabian Sea and India. Some parts of this trade route goes through Iran, through this land. The biggest problem of the realization of this project is poor development of infrastructure in Iran, as railways and ports in Iran are not developed enough to create a corridor. A transport corridor which we want to see, and of course it's about Iran as part of the Middle East, is part of the global game between Russia, United States, and some other players. Sometimes it's quite difficult to it's quite difficult to realize these projects, as the United States imposes sanctions on Iran and on Russia, and many Indian companies, even Indian government, is not risking to cooperate with Iran, as they may face Western sanctions, but still. This transport route is very important for India in a long-term perspective, as where this transport route, India will have a direct access not only to Middle East but also to the Central Asia countries. We always talk about this transport route as a route between Russia and India, but also it gives a direct access to Caspian Sea. And Caspian Sea right in the heart of the Central Asia. Central Asia is also a huge market. It has a lot of different resources, and the Indian companies can buy those resources. Indian companies can invest into Central Asia. Right now, Central Asia is blocked from India by China, by Afghanistan, and Pakistan. So India doesn't have a direct access to this rich and very essential area, but through this transport corridor, India will have a great opportunity to invest into infrastructure, into different energy and energy project in these regions, and probably India even can become a major competitor in Central Asia and even in Afghanistan, as a lot of
Yeah.
Chinese companies are investing a huge amount of money into the excavation of natural resources in Afghanistan. But right now, India cannot be a part of this process because it's blocked from this region. But through the Caspian Sea, India will have a lot of great opportunities.
Awesome. So most of the doubts are cleared. So last but not least, I just have one question. We'll just wrap up these questions, and just the last question that I want to ask. When we think of Russia as of now, the only thing that comes to us is energy, 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 energy. Even now, if you see through Chabahar port, I'm sure we saw it through Russia today. I'm sure even Kremlin had given the official announcement that through Chabahar port, coal is being exported to India right now from Russia. So when we think about trade relations with Russia, it's only with energy, just oil and coal. But apart from oil and coal, what also looking from a geopolitical perspective, from the Russian academic perspective, what sectors or in which field do you think Russia is willing to invest in India apart from energy?
Well, yeah, it's a nice question because I guess that there are many fields where Russia can invest to India besides the energy cooperation. From Russian geopolitical academic perspective, Russia is likely willing to invest in several sectors in India beyond energy. I will mention some potential areas. For example, Russia has been a long-standing defense partner to India, and this trend is likely to continue. And there could be joint ventures in defense manufacturing under the Make in India initiative, including technology transfer and co-production. Also, both countries have advanced space programs, and there is a potential for cooperation in areas like satellite launches, space exploration, and joint research projects. Also, Russia has shown interest in participating in India's infrastructure development projects, including smart cities, high-speed rail, and transportation systems. For example, the last year I was a part of, there is a forum in Vladivostok, and there are many students and many professors from India coming to this forum. And also we have likely the same, but the other forum in St. Petersburg. It's usually held in June. It's called St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. And and the last year there was lots of projects. There were included smart cities, high-speed rail, and so many projects from Indian people that went to Russia to specify their projects with Russian inventors. So it's a great field to communicate with Russia and India investors and projects. Also, with India's growing IT sector and Russia's strong technology background, there is a potential for cooperation and investment in IT services, software development, cybersecurity, telecommunications, and so on. Also, given India's strong pharmaceutical industry and Russia's need for affordable medicines, there could be collaboration in drug manufacturers and healthcare services. Also, both countries have a rich cultural heritage and could invest in educational and cultural exchange programs to foster mutual understanding and cooperation. Also, talking about science and even about lots of projects that were published according to forums in St. Petersburg and Vladivostok in areas like nanotechnology, biotechnology, and renewable energy could be another area of potential investment. There are broad areas, and the actual investments would depend on various factors, including market conditions, government policies, and geopolitical considerations. And also, the last but not least, I want to mention is agriculture sector, because Russia could invest in the agriculture sector, particularly in areas like food processing, agriculture technologies. And so there are really big field to invest Russia in India besides the energy.
Wow. I'm flabbergasted at this moment because you covered primary industries, agriculture, space, pharma, defense, infrastructure. You mentioned about the railways. Wow, you've literally covered. I didn't think about. We were just thinking about energy, but these diversification of sectors actually provided a lot of. Yeah, it's better to have future cooperation in these sectors as well. Okay, so I think I'm sure that viewers will get enough information, or so, because this is an extensive podcast. This is since I would like to tell them in Tamil as well. நீங்க எல்லாரும் பார்த்திருப்பீங்க, இது வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட 1 மணி நேரத்துக்கு மேல வந்து இந்த ஒரு வீடியோ பாட்காஸ்ட் போயிருக்கும். இது வந்து நாங்க ஏன் இந்த அளவுக்கு எக்ஸ்டென்சிவா பண்றோம் அப்படின்னா, இன்னைக்கு இல்லைனாலும் நாளைக்கு இல்லைனாலும் நாளான்னைக்கோ இல்ல வரும் காலங்கள்ல வந்து இதெல்லாம் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு சாட்சியா இருக்கும். இவங்க அகாடமிஷியன்ஸ் வந்து ரஷ்யால இருந்து பேசுறப்போ, இப்ப நாளைக்கு ஒரு முன்னேற்றம் வருது, இந்த ஒரு துறை சார்ந்ததா இருக்கட்டும், இல்ல இந்த ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் சார்ந்ததா இருக்கட்டும், ஒரு ஒரு டெவலப்மெண்ட்னு ஒரு முன்னேற்றம்னு வரப்போ இதெல்லாம் வந்து இட்ல ஆக்ட் அஸ் அ டெஸ்டமெண்ட். லைக் இதெல்லாம் இந்த மாதிரி தகவல் தான் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா நாளைக்கு வந்து ஒரு அகாடமிக் ஃபீல்டுல வந்து மேலும் மேலும் ஆராய்ச்சி பண்ணக்கூடியதுக்கு ஒரு அடித்தளமா இருக்கும். ஸோ இதைத்தான் வந்து நாங்க வந்து நம்புறோம். இதை வந்து எவ்வளவு ஏன் இந்த அளவுக்கு நாங்க டீட்டெயிலா நாங்க வந்து உங்களுக்கு ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ற விருப்பப்படுறோம்னா இதுதான் காரணம். நாளைக்கு வந்து எந்த ஒரு சந்தேகமும் வந்துடக்கூடாது ஒரு ஆராய்ச்சின்னு எடுக்கிறப்போ. இது வந்து எங்களுக்கு ஒரு ஆராய்ச்சி மெட்டீரியலா நாங்க மற்றவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கறதா கூட இருக்கட்டும். ஸோ இதுதான் வந்து எங்களுக்கு இந்த ஒரு விஷயம் பண்றதா இருக்கட்டும், இதை வந்து முன்னேறி கொண்டு வரதா இருக்கட்டும், இதெல்லாம் வந்து ஆர்கனைஸ் பண்றதா இருக்கட்டும், எங்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு விதமான ஒரு சந்தோஷத்தை தாண்டி ஒரு கர்வமும் எங்களுக்கு இருக்கு இந்த ஒரு விஷயத்துல. ஐம் ஷுர் சவுந்தரா இருக்கட்டும், இல்ல மேஜர் எங்களுக்கு வந்து கொடுத்த ஊக்கமா இருக்கட்டும், இந்த ஒரு விஷயம்லாம் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா அடுத்த தலைமுறைக்கோ இருக்கட்டும், இல்ல மற்ற மாணவர்களும் இருக்கட்டும், வெளியுறவு கொள்கை பத்தி கத்துக்கக்கூடிய பல மாணவர்களுக்கும் வந்து இது ஒரு அடித்தளமா இருக்கும்னு நாங்க நம்புறோம். ஐ திங்க் we are pretty much done with this, because еще раз я повторяю, это очень большой вещь. Очень большой вещь, потому что вы знаете, да, это ненормально, это очень специально, это очень объединение, поэтому this is amazing. So спасибо всем, потому что this is not an ordinary thing. You giving your time, спасибо для вашего времени, спасибо большое. I think do you have anything else to the viewers out here?
Thank you so much for having us today at this podcast. We do hope that we shared some important knowledge for you, for your viewers, and we do hope that your viewers would catch something new from this podcast. Maybe they will become more interested in Russian history, in Indo-Russian relations. They would like to come visit Russia. They would like somehow to host some event in India for Russians, or to meet in other countries. But nevertheless, the main, I think, idea of this podcast, that's really like the red line, that it's important to foster cooperation between our two countries, and throughout this cooperation, a truly better world would come faster and better. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It
Ita.
was a great. Yeah.
Спасибо всем, спасибо. До свидания. So hopefully
Спасибо большое.
Спасибо большое, спасибо большое. Hopefully we'll have another podcast like based on viewers' demand, or if viewers wanted any other unique and peculiar things that not a lot of people talk about. Probably we can discuss over here in this sort of a podcast. Like hopefully, fingers crossed, if viewers need one more sort of a round with additional a lot of different topic, not just this, but even different topic, probably we could discuss about that. And